And welcome back. For those of you coming in directly after the Joker review, thank you for coming right back in because I'm posting these one right after the other for you guys. For those of you coming in a little late, welcome to The Nap, episode 10.
Episode 10.
I actually knew it was episode 10 this time.
I was confident behind that one.
I was confident with it this time. Josh, we're without Gerald today. But we want to hear a lot of talking out of you because we didn't get to go to New York Comic Con, and you did.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to fill me in, bro.
Yeah, well, at the same time, I didn't really get to go to New York Comic Con.
No,
I got to go to my booth at New York Comic Con.
I know you're camping a book booth for a while.
Yeah.
How'd the book do?
It did great. I brought my old books there, of course.
The Halcyon Garden.
The Halcyon Garden was the new book. I took one box of 30 books there and sold them all out in like 2 days. They did
perfect.
really well. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I should have brought more, but it was kind of a testing ground.
Sure.
And then we worked on selling the other books, but it was great, man. I had a really good time. The place was packed as ever. You know, this is our 4th year there, and I do distinctively remember the first couple years we were there. Your Thursdays and your Fridays were not as crazy as your Saturday, but now it's just like every day, all 4 days is just berserk.
That's good though.
It is.
I mean, you want that.
It is, and we had a really good spot this year. We had a new spot for the first time, and it was right in the mix of things, and I did get to see some stuff while I was there, but yeah, it was a really fun experience for sure.
So what were the highlights outside of your book stuff?
Well, Maddie dressed up, my wife Maddie, she dressed up as the Joker, as Joaquin Phoenix's Joker for Friday and Saturday. So we got to go see the Joker after the con with her in makeup, and that was really cool.
If you follow DC on Instagram, you can actually catch that photo. They posted, they featured her on their cosplay post.
Yeah, so that was legit. They took a picture of her and a couple other Jokers and said which one was best, and I might be biased, but I think she was best. And then we took some amazing pictures of her around Times Square, and that was really cool. And actually, one of the highlights was we were walking back from that Times Square going to get dinner on a Saturday night. It's crazy packed, just the streets in general. And I was walking down the street, and I looked over to the guys walking next to me, and it was Bob Hall, who's a great artist down from Lincoln. I've gone out to dinner with him a couple times, had some drinks with him at Grand Island Comic Con, and he's a great guy. And he just happened to be walking right next to me, and
he's kind of a unicorn for me because I've heard about him in several situations. I know he's nearby, but I've never actually met him.
Well, and he has a history of he's worked for Marvel and DC in the past. He knew a lot of those original SNL guys. He was at the Caddyshack launch party. He's got a crazy history. But the fact that he was just standing right there, you know, just another guy from Nebraska, and I reached out to him and said, hey, and he was kind of shocked, and he was like, holy crap, you know, the likelihood of us, you know, seeing each other.
Of all places.
Yeah, so that was fun. Going around, Arcade 1-Up had a big block there. With they had the new Star Wars arcade, which I want bad, like so bad. We played that. They had the giant, like 50-foot arcade where the buttons are as bigger than your hand. So I played that with Maddie. That's the best part of having the exhibitor pass. You get to walk around, you know, like before it's open, and kind of see everything.
Get in there before all the craziness.
Yeah, so that was great. And then just being in New York, you know, it was a great weekend to be in New York. We did some bike riding. We went to some restaurants, and it's just a good time. New York Comic Con, though, my wife went to some panels. She saw, like, the Picard panel, and the trailer that came out of that was a really great trailer.
Did you already watch that one?
I did. Okay, I'm sorry. I was there.
No, that's all right.
The Expanse had some people there. That was really cool. It was great. It was a great... you know, for the people that are still fans of Walking Dead, Lauren, what's her name? Maggie, she's coming back, and she made an appearance there. So it was a very lively weekend, even though I was behind a booth for most of it, but it was fun.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
We are pushing. I'm going to try and arrange it to where we can actually make it to one of the Comic Cons next year. I don't know which one. But I'm making it kind of a Nerf Herders goal that at least 2 of us.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if our schedules will actually line up to where all three of us will get to go. We never know.
Right.
But I want to get it to where the Nerf Herders actually make it to either San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con. Preferably both. That'd be pretty sweet. Or at least Star Wars Celebration.
Oh, right.
Star Wars Celebration's a big one for me. I really want to be able to make it out for that one.
Yeah. I'd love to go to that, or I'd love to go to San Diego just as a person that goes. People are already buying San Diego Comic-Con tickets right now. I don't know how, but I think they're already released or they're about to release. But that's a con that I would love to go to just to go, not to have a booth. And I haven't gone to a con in a long time, maybe 5 years without having a booth, and I kind of miss it.
The only cons that I've been to in the last couple of years have been ones that I've been in.
Yeah.
So, I haven't had the chance to actually just be like, oh, yeah, no.
I miss it, man. And especially with something like that where, especially New York Comic-Con, even with going, every day I went 2 hours early, take it about 30 minutes to set up the booth again, and then walk around. And even then, I didn't see half of it. I felt like I was just rushing around and, And then when I do try to get out from my booth during the day, if I had a helper, it'd mainly be to do a restroom break. And if it's not, you're just standing. You're just you're doing the little pitter patter through the mob. So I love those events, man. And there's always people that bitch and complain about there's too many people or whatever. But it's a fantastic experience.
It's also New York City.
Right,
house,
right.
You're gonna get that no matter what.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a photo set of Maddie in her Joker garb.
I'm flattered. Thank you.
What was that, Alexa?
That was Alexa.
She's flattered about my wife's Joker garb.
I didn't say anything to you, you crazy bitch. That was so weird.
That's funny. Well, that'd be cool. I'm sure. I think she's gonna
preferably before it gets too crazy cold.
Yeah, she's gonna do it again for Halloween, but I'm sure she'd love to do that. I'll let her know. She probably love that.
Gotta hit up downtown.
Yeah.
Freak out some bystanders.
It looked great. She did it.
She did it. Yeah, she did a really good job with it. We saw one of the progress photos that you reposted, and then the final product.
Yeah,
I didn't see the final product until I saw it on DC's Instagram page. I was like, that looks like Maddie.
Yeah,
that looks an awful lot like. That looks like.
And
Josh's
you're the one
wife.
that told me about it, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
I sent you a screenshot of it. You're like, holy shit! What's that up?
Yeah. That was really cool. That was really something. So thanks for sharing.
I had only seen her face from the progress photo that you sent, and I was like, that looks an awful lot like her.
Yeah,
I wasn't
sure. My grandparents weren't very happy. They're like, she didn't dress up as that Joker, did she? I was like, yeah. They're like, oh, but everybody else is like, oh, that's awesome. So yeah,
no, dude, it was great. It was a really good show. It was a good costume.
Yeah, pass that along.
I really want the Nerf Herders. Or at least myself. I just want to go to a con.
Just want an excuse to go.
I just want to go to a con, one of these big ones, once in my life, just once in my life. But so those of you who are listening, if you wanna throw us a few bucks, let us know, and we'll try and figure out a way to get out there. Of course, I'll do a bunch of filming. We'll give you a bunch of filming and photos and recaps and all the news that we can possibly get to you.
We should try to make a relationship with Reed Pop because they're. Other than San Diego, they do New York and C2E2 and Emerald, and I think they do Star Wars Celebration. They do all of them. So Reed Pop is huge. We should.
I don't know.
Reed Pop, come on, make something happen.
Yeah, I'm a relatively decent photographer. I can provide content as well while I'm out there.
Yeah,
help you guys out.
Yeah.
You don't need the help, but I can help you guys out.
Yeah, they don't need it, but you do need it. Yeah, all the help you can get.
You're up in New York Comic Con when Martin Scorsese decided to bash the Marvel films, weren't you?
Yeah.
Did you hear about that right away? Or?
I did. Well, because the conversation is just constantly going there. So yeah, I heard about that, and of course the backlash was crazy. He kind of shot himself in the foot because I don't think his first comment, they were specifically asking him about Marvel, but the more he's talked about it, I think he's talking about more than just superhero films. But it started with Marvel.
It was definitely a pain point having Marvel being mentioned because he's certainly not limited to just Marvel.
Right.
Because Martin Scorsese, don't get me wrong, he has made some great films. Taxi Driver, which heavily influenced Joker.
And the King of Comedy.
And
he
the King of
actually
Comedy.
did that too. He's got, of course, he's
Goodfell-
got some deadbeats under his belt too. But
Yeah.
he's
I actually like. I hadn't seen Goodfellas until like the last year or so, and actually really liked that film.
really?
And so,
Wow.
and I've watched it several times since. Like,
Well,
it was-
and
it
like
was-
The Departed is among my top
Yep.
films of all time.
I need
That
to
film is-
I need to see that one because I kind of
You have not seen The
I
Departed?
have not seen The
Oh
Departed.
my God! Can we still be friends? Like that is, it's one of the
So
best films.
You're
ever.
sitting in my theater seat. Bring it over.
Yeah,
we'll watch it
we
right
need
there.
to
bro.
do it. It's so good, man. I've seen that film so many times. It's so good.
He's got his movie, The Irishman.
His 3.5-hour epic
Yeah,
coming out on Netflix.
I've seen his talent. Like, I'm an aspiring filmmaker. That's something that I'm working towards. I kind of got distracted with photography, trying to work on videography, but I can appreciate a good cinematic moment. But I got to tell you, I really liked Goodfellas, but certainly didn't make me cry tears of joy like the Marvel films have. I was like,
Well,
if it's a theme park movie, I don't give a shit.
so let's talk about what his actual quotes were. His first quote before the theme park quote, he
Yep.
was specifically asked about the MCU and asked if he'd seen the films. And he said, I don't see them. I've tried, but that's not cinema. Honestly, the closest I can think of them, as well as they are made with actors doing the best they can under the circumstances, is theme parks. It isn't the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional, psychological experiences to another human being. And, I mean, I don't mean to call you an old man, but that's just like every argument you've ever heard against comics in general,
Yep.
comics have always been bashed on. I mean, they were kind of like back in the 40s and whatever, they were like, they weren't the same type of comics you read now, but I mean, they've always been bashed on, and they've definitely stood the test of time, but it's always been like, oh, I read books, you read comics, like that's not real, content.
Yeah, it's really cheap to assume that because of their subject matter that they cannot possibly convey emotion or
Right.
a proper story to anybody.
And the actors doing the best they can under the circumstances. Like,
It's like-
what? There's some great actors that have done great films outside of the Marvel Universe, and they only bring that into the Marvel Universe. I mean, we've had some... Benedict Cumberbatch, he's a great actor, and
Robert Downey Jr.
what he's brought to the role. Robert Downey Jr.
Mark Ruffalo.
There's so many great names, and I don't think anybody sees them as going low for these type of films, or just
They're
plugging
definitely
it
not
in.
slumming it to make these
No,
films. Like
no.
they're hard work. They're still tough.
But when he talks about theme parks, I feel like he's talking more about blockbusters. And because if you think about it, there's like the Mission Impossible and any type of franchise film, they have franchises that have been taken over the theaters, and there's less
Yep.
of those. There's less movies that aren't a reboot or that aren't a sequel, and this is an age-old discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But, if it's working, it's working. And to be fair, yeah, there's not a lot of dramas that make it big. There really aren't. And Scorsese himself hasn't had a ton of big movies lately, and I think it's not surprising that his 3.5-hour epic is not coming out in theaters. It's coming out on Netflix. And, you're going to have the people that are like, this is 3.5 hours of perfect film. And then you're going to have other people that are going to say, this is a great film, but it's a little bloated. And there's probably a reason why it's coming out on Netflix, because Netflix will allow it and stuff like that.
Yeah, 3.5 hours is quite a bit to sit through.
Now,
but
granted, I haven't seen the film, and it could be amazing. It could be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely could be.
But this sounds exactly like Spielberg a year ago talking about how Netflix shouldn't be in the Oscars. It just sounds like an old guy in the industry who has a name for himself that seems to be bashing on the new trend. And yeah it is a trend, but it's a working trend, and clearly it has a fan base.
It's really, when it comes down to it, it's just really a lack of understanding of the technology. And it's like, this is how people are going to be consuming media now. Does it matter where they actually get does it matter where they see this media? It should be about the media itself. It doesn't matter where it came from.
Right.
Like,
well,
just because somebody didn't go and watch Stranger Things in a theater does not make it any less good of a show. Yeah. And I know that's not the perfect comparison, but like,
right. It's still somebody putting some hard work into something. And you know, I mean, I am not the biggest fan of Disney. They put out a lot of shit that I think gets a pass because it's Disney and because people see it. But these Marvel films they've been out for this is 12 years now, 11, 12 years. And they have put out more amazing films than subpar films, and like a crazy more. It's not 50-50. It's not even 80-20. It's like 95-5. With a 5, they're not shit films. They're just not as good as the other films.
Yeah,
but it's not easy to have this type of cinematic universe. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and just because it's not your thing doesn't mean, you know, you should bash it. And honestly, Scorsese has been like a name in Hollywood for so long. People are going to respect his opinion, but I think more people are just coming out as, dude, you're sounding like an old man who's just complaining because you're not a part of it, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, fuck, man, I'd watch a Scorsese Marvel film.
I would too, but he's not going to do it because he thinks he's above it for some reason.
Yeah, and honestly, the reason that I didn't get too upset about it, I think it's stupid. I think it's a dumb comment, but I'm not getting too upset about it because him saying that isn't robbing us of our experience.
It's not, and most people aren't paying attention to it. Honestly, the media is trying to make it bigger than it is. But
if anything, he has stopped anybody from anybody from the Marvel audience, like that core audience that they have, who are really into comic book films, don't explore too much into other film genres. If anything, he might have done more damage to himself than anything else, being like, well, he said that the movies that I love aren't cinema, so why would I bother seeing his stuff? It's probably not going to be up my alley.
Right, but he's past this point now because he's already rubbing shoulders with Netflix, which is, you know, a bad thing to do, according to people like Spielberg.
According to his buddy Spielberg.
Yeah, but, you know.
I don't know if they're buddies.
But think about it. I mean, the Joker, a lot of people would say that visually and storytelling-wise is very inspired by Scorsese's works, and that should be a compliment and not a bashing, you know? Like, it's just... The thing is, comic book films are having their day. And I think a lot of people thought their day would have been done 5-10 years ago, but apparently it's not. And it's not, down. You know, it's taken 80 years to get here. You know, like these stories have been around since 1939. It's not, you know, and they only really started getting taken seriously within the last decade. So, you know,
at
let
least
them
with the
have their
general
moment.
populace,
Shit,
anyway.
you know? Yeah. Well, but still, like, there were some comic book films in the 80s and the 90s, but not to this degree, not to this much.
Yeah, if the only superhero film that you had seen was Supergirl, you would have thought that there was no hope for that cinematic universe whatsoever.
And like, you know, Batman 89 and Superman, they got their day in the sun, but they didn't get this day in the sun, you know, like it's a lot bigger now and it's more mainstream than niche. And you
honestly, if he really wanted to get down to the nitty-gritty of it, expectations for Scorsese aren't as high as they are for the Marvel films, because you've got a huge fan base that are already entrenched into this content and they already are very familiar with the subject matter. Like, if you come at them with an original idea for a character who's in an established universe for so long and you fuck up his character, the pushback, like the backlash is a lot more fierce.
Yeah, but
than if Wolf of Wall Street hadn't been perfect.
Right. And here's the other thing, though. I don't understand why it's Scorsese that's making this comment. Like, I could see some young up-and-comer director that only wants to do niche dramas that can't get a time in the office because they're all talking about the next Marvel film. Whereas Scorsese, apparently, if he wants to make a 3.5-hour movie, there's somebody willing to buy it from him. Like, if anybody shouldn't be complaining, it's him, because he can just write his own ticket. He's had some duds recently, like Silence. That movie looked good, but no one saw it. I haven't seen it. But here's the thing, like, even though superhero films are getting recognized a little bit more now, they're getting a little more Oscar stuff. Things like the Oscars and the Golden Globes are still going to people like Scorsese. They're still recognizing the films. It's not just who made the bigger box office.
Like, I'm still going to see The Irishman. Like,
yeah, so am I.
After seeing it, especially knowing that it's coming out on Netflix, that actually elevates it for me because I don't have to leave the house to experience this film. For a movie that long,
yeah,
where it
probably could be like a 3-parter. You know?
Honestly,
I'm surprised they didn't build it that way.
Endgame should have had an intermission. Like they very much should have at a midpoint been like, all right, bathroom break, refills.
At least you're going to be able to pause it with The Irishman.
It was like, I don't know about everybody else, but I cannot ration even an extra large popcorn over a 3-hour movie. Yeah. It can't be done. I was done before the first hour of Joker was over. Okay,
right,
like, I need more.
I think even though the Oscars are just, a discussion in themselves, until the awards and the general movie-going community, until it gets to the point where they only care about who made the most money, then this argument is not valid. There's still a lot of praise for smaller films. There's still a lot of praise for dramas, for non-action films. There's always been a blockbuster and then the other films. This isn't new. This is just the new type of blockbuster. Spielberg was about blockbusters for the longest time. Things like Jurassic Park was not an artsy film. It was a blockbuster. You had films like that. It's just now the modern blockbuster is a comic book film, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It's funny because Jurassic Park is an actual theme park movie.
I know, right?
They've also, unfortunately, since Spielberg's involvement has left, they've really gone downhill though.
Oh, I know. I know.
I took my time seeing Jurassic World 1 and 2, and I'm glad I did, because if I had paid money to see those films, I would have been upset.
Yeah, and I could talk all day about the short that recently came out. That was just dumb.
Yeah.
But,
since we're kind of on this, you know what? I'm gonna name this episode just as like kind of our flash podcast. Like we're going through this stuff pretty quick.
Do it.
I was very excited about this because and we had talked about Tom Holland finding out that his character, Marvel and Sony couldn't come to an agreement on how to handle the future for him.
Yep.
And I can't remember what my final consensus was. I think that I sort of felt that there was still hope that he would come back. Like the discussions weren't over.
I don't think anybody thought so, but
I think
Sony was trying to make you think so.
There was a lot of media outlets too who were like, "Well, it's over. There's no hope."
Sony was like, "We've shut the door for good or for now or whatever," and I'm like, "I don't believe you."
Yeah, it was kind of tough to believe, but then finding out that he's back, and I don't remember reading if they had released what the financial agreement had finally come to, if they'd kept what they originally had, or if Sony finally buckled down and was like, all right, 50-50, whatever.
No, they released part of it. Yeah, they said that. Disney had originally come in at 50-50. It's now down to 25. So they upped their.
It's quite a significant increase.
They upped their significant increase from 5% to 25%. That is significant, but and they do have now producers. They're going to be producing 25% of the film, but that is still considerably less than 50%. That means that Sony retains 75% of the producing amounts, which means they own majority. They're not splitting their highest paying IP with Disney, who sure as hell doesn't need the money. So no. I think a lot of people have been reporting this as Sony caved. And it's like, I don't see it that way, man. I see it as the biggest kid on the block wanted everything, and these guys stuck it out. And they stuck it out through all of the bullshit backlash from the people that didn't understand what was going on. and they stuck it out through all of the, the leaked stuff that I guarantee you was Disney that leaked it. And they came back with a better option for everybody. Sure, Disney's going to make more money, but they're not going to make as much as they wanted it to, and Sony is retaining their control. But it's temporary.
Yeah, but the hope is a lot stronger than it was before.
Yes. It's nice that they found something.
For me, it was really about the story element, because I didn't feel like if they had to lose him there that they'd be able to close it out in a good
it was a weird spot.
Like, it would have been a really abrupt place
and
to
I think
end his
that's why
involvement.
Disney pushed it, because they thought that they had him in a corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now the new agreement is for one more Spider-Man solo film and one more Spider-Man appearance in a bigger Marvel film. And that could be enough to wrap up his character, or just enough to tie them over to the next negotiation.
Yeah, but also he's appearing in a Sony film. I remember seeing something about that he's going to have either. I don't think it was his own Sony standalone, but I think it was an appearance in another Sony film, and a lot of people are assuming that's going to be the next Venom.
Yeah, because Morbius is past that point. I think they've already wrapped that up.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's definitely temporary. It's either, it's definitely temporary, because it could have been they're just giving them enough to wrap up the story. But I still think Disney's going to come back in 5 years and be like, okay, let's have this talk again.
And you know what? I'm fine. Like, honestly, the only thing that I'm worried about is the bickering getting in the way of them still putting out a good story.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern. And as long as they can avoid doing that, I don't care who's getting paid. I really don't. I mean, Sony isn't exactly strapped for cash either.
They're not. But again, I did feel that they were making a stand, and I think that was,
it's a worthy stand too. Like, they definitely should have.
Yeah, and I think it's probably because they've already talked about now Disney. There's a rumor that Disney's considering buying them out, and not Sony completely, but buying the rights back to Spider-Man, or just buying Spider-Man back from them, which is going to be a big toll. And you know what? That's just what they've been doing. They've been clearing house for the past about 5 years, and I think Sony probably sees that and is like, why should we get the short end of the stick when you're shelling out billions to get all these other properties? You want Spider-Man so bad, we're going to play a little hardball. And from a business standpoint, I can't hate him for that.
No, I fully agree.
At the same time, as a fan, I want good Spider-Man films. I've grown. Tom Holland has grown on me a lot. I don't know.
He's my favorite Spider-Man that I've seen portrayed.
He's definitely grown into 100%. The role a lot, and I've really started to appreciate him. But he said that he was going to be in it no matter what. And I think that was probably a smart thing on him. But of course, then there was, I don't know if you saw the other talk, was that he called Bob Iger when this first came out. He called Bob Iger. It was at D23, and he was walking around trying to find Bob Iger's number. And he was just talking to Disney people like, I need to talk to Bob Iger. And enough people finally was like, okay, we'll let Bob know that you're trying to call him. And then they got him on a phone conversation, and he was like, look, I know this is crazy, but y'all need to figure this out. And Bob really appreciated that Tom himself was trying to reach out to him, and that apparently influenced it. I'm sure it's not as influenced as the media wants you to think it is, but that's still pretty cool that Tom was like, I'm going to be here no matter what, but we should try to make this work.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great story for Tom to have under his belt. If he was like, I'm on the side of the fans. Yeah, I want to see this story play out. He's our next Tony Stark. We can't lose him yet.
I know, but at the same time, I would be. That was the only upside to it. It was if they did have him go away, is that they'd be focusing less on the Tony Stark stuff and more on the Spider-Man stuff. Because I've thought from the beginning that they've relied a little too much on Tony Stark, and I just he's coming into his own now. I want him to be his own. I don't want him to be the next Iron Man. I thought that was a bad angle to play. I want him to be Spider-Man, man. He's Spider-Man. I'm
fine with him being the next Tony Stark. I'm not fine with him being the next Iron Man. But I want to see him like kind of evolve into this, like, because the Spider-Man that we're used to seeing is the one who's like, he's struggling to hold a job, like nobody, like he still has kept his identity secret. Like he's trying to hold up a job, he's trying to finish with college and stuff like that. I would love to see him trying to balance that, but with people knowing his identity.
Sure.
He's trying to get some sort of a higher education, and but he's having to heavily rely on like the Stark Corporation to sort of help him out with that. But they're also like, yeah, we kind of need you to like help us out. Like they keep coming to him, be like, hey, yeah, can you help us out with this problem? We don't really know how to. We don't really know how to solve it or something like that. As long as it's not Pepper who's coming to him, because I like his relationship with Happy a little too much to have Pepper be involved with it.
Yeah, and she's kind of stepped out anyway. But
yeah,
there's a funny little rumor this week talking about how someone suggested Charlie Cox be come back as Daredevil and be Peter Parker's attorney in the next Spider-Man film. I'd be like, oh, that'd be awesome.
I would love that.
Even if he wasn't Daredevil in the whole film, if he was just
an attorney who happened to be blind.
No, I mean, he could be himself. Who is Daredevil? What's his name?
Matt Murdock.
He could be Matt Murdock, even if it wasn't a Daredevil movie. If it was just Matt Murdock, I'd love that.
That's what I'm saying too. Like, I want to see him as that character.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And that, like, they never like talk about him being. They'd never mention another vigilante out there.
Oh shit! I totally forgot to talk about this for New York Comic Con. One of my favorite parts was I got to see Charlie Cox and Tom Hiddleston on Broadway. They were in a Broadway play together.
Nice.
And I was sitting in third row. It's called Betrayal, and it was a very personal Broadway play that they were in, and it was great. And I was like, oh, it's like Daredevil and Loki is on stage like 5 feet away from me, and it was fantastic. And it was so odd because I knew it was about a woman who was cheating on her husband with another man, and I didn't dive into it any more than that. And I was 100% sure it was a woman who was married to Charlie Cox and was cheating on him with Loki, but it was the other way around. And I'm like, who would cheat on Loki? But it was great.
Dude, that's kind of like my favorite thing about how many actors are involved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now is that when you see them in other stuff, like, first of all, the meme potential of it is insane.
Right.
But another really great, less box office-y drama that I actually really enjoy watching because of its cinematography and, again, the music is Spotlight.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where
it's a great film.
Where it's the investigative journalist team who cracked the pedophilia in the Christian church or the Catholic Church.
And Ruffalo was in that. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got so you've got Hulk, you've got Vulture.
That's right. Michael Keaton was in there. Yeah.
You've got Howard Stark.
Yeah.
And you've got Christine Palmer from Doctor Strange.
That's right. Yeah. It's quite the cast. It was a great cast, yeah.
Just those few, right?
Well,
I was just like, geez.
How many? I mean, especially with as crazy as the MCU has expanded, like the potential for crossover is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Like every actor's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. Yeah.
But and then Zodiac, you've got Hulk and Tony Stark going at odds with each other, and then now Mysterio's in there too. It's like, geez.
Yeah,
we're getting them left and right. I love that. It's just
well, there was a nice relief in the air because that Spider-Man news came out just the week before New York Comic Con, and I was kind of surprised they didn't wait till New York Comic Con, to say it. But there's a lot of Spider-Man people at New York Comic Con, and they were very happy. You could just tell. So that
would have
really
been
cool.
A great release moment for Marvel to just show up at New York Comic Con and be like, all right,
I know, I'm just so surprised it didn't happen.
We want to introduce to you a new cast member. He's gonna be joining the roster for this next phase. And then they're like, all right, please welcome our new stage, and Tom just walks out there, and everybody loses their damn minds.
But it was cool at the Marvel booth. They had a huge glass case and the actual Spider-Man costume there on display, which is really cool.
I saw some snippets of that. They had a lot of juicy merch there.
Yeah, they did.
That's one thing that I actually really hate missing out on because I've gotten into this thing where I'm buying up a bunch of nerdy apparel and paraphernalia. Like we've got Mjolnir up on the bookshelf there. We've got too many lightsabers at this point now.
Just stacking them now.
I know, right? There's a bunch of them now. That's one of the main reasons I want to go to a con is because there's stuff that I can blow my money on that I can't buy anywhere else. Because they do so many exclusives at events like those.
I actually didn't spend any money this year on New York Comic Con.
You beast.
I spent it on because I'd come across the book that I really wanted, and then I would do the stupid thing of Amazon price matching it, and it would be cheaper on Amazon.
Yeah,
not through a third party, but through the actual people. And I was like, okay, no,
like they're still getting the money.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
As much.
I didn't feel as bad, but there's some cool stuff there. But I usually buy some Mondo records or something, and they weren't there this year. So
if you found out people were doing that with your book, though, like, how are you gonna feel about that?
Well, but again, it was like it was like Boom Studios had a huge Power Rangers display, and I really wanted these 2 books, but they'd upscaled them a bit, and I price matched them through Boom's store on Amazon, and they were cheaper, so I bought them through. I still bought them from Boom.
Yeah,
I still got my money.
Yeah, they're still there. It's all good.
Yeah.
Like I said, this was kind of a catch up because I was originally going to include this as an addition to the Joker episode, but we ended up talking about the Joker for like a solid hour because it's
hard
excellent.
not to
go and see it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to jump in and chat about?
No, man, I'm finally getting some rest from New York, so I started a new job the week before New York, and I jumped back into it this week, and that's been really... My wife is, she's hardcore Halloween decorating. She spent the whole day decorating today, which is pretty crazy. Got some cool pics. So, yeah, I'm just kind of enjoying the post-con life right now. I don't have any shows coming up for a while, so I'm gonna be working on some projects. But
we've got a short film that we've started writing for.
Yeah, that should be fun.
I haven't made any progress on the wall yet, but I actually found a script writing app that actually allows online collaboration.
Oh, okay.
And so it'll actually make it really easy for us to work on those back and forth and make notes.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I've got 3 different projects that I'm working on. The main one that I already pitched to you that I won't talk about on the podcast. That one's going to be a big endeavor, and I'm going to have to get a lot of people involved with that one. So that one's going to be fun. But I might drop another one that might be a little bit easier for us to make, just to kind of help people like get an example of what we're capable of.
Yeah, there's always multiple projects going on.
Yeah, so I've got scripts being worked on and written. The photography hasn't slowed down at all. I've got photo gigs out the ass right now. It's getting crazy to keep up with. We've got a couple wedding bookings, and weddings are always busy. So those will be a good time. I've got a wedding that I'm in too.
Ooh.
In December.
Nice. In December.
December. Yeah, December wedding. It's gonna be
outdoor wedding.
I hope not. I fucking hope not.
Yeah.
So yeah, things are a little bit slower, but we've still. For those who keep up with our YouTube channel and are watching this now, you'll know that we haven't had a trailer reaction up in a while, and there have been some trailers that we would probably react to.
Yeah.
I saw a couple before Joker was screened that I would have thought of. Like, I kind of wanted to do a trailer reaction to 1917.
Yeah. It looks amazing.
It really does. It really looks good.
I've heard a rumor that it's designed to look like it's in one shot. The whole movie.
See,
which would be crazy.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, there have been a few trailers that have passed by. There's been another Zombieland trailer. But I ended up watching that because we just couldn't coordinate schedules. It's getting tougher and tougher the closer we get to holiday seasons because people are doing stuff with family.
I know. We'll have to knock some out soon.
Yeah.
Plus, I want to talk about. Did I tell you that I finally got a Switch?
You did.
Yeah, and there's so much. I feel like this is a whole new world has been opened up to me. So,
what games did you get for that thing? What'd you start out with?
I got a couple for New York. So I got Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Perfect.
Doom, Wolfenstein 2.
No.
And then I got some other ones that I've wanted for a long time, like Hyper Light Drifter. I've wanted that game for forever. It's got a beautiful soundtrack. I remember when there was a Kickstarter for it that was amazing. Then I got one other game. What was the other game?
So, did you download the Super Nintendo Suite?
Oh yeah, I got those. Yeah,
Because that was my favorite thing that
Nintendo Suite, and
did.
Super Nintendo Suite. Yeah,
This is something I want to start talking about more on the Nerf Herders podcast and stuff. Is video game stuff. So if you're into that, that'd be great. I don't have to do it on my own.
I haven't been a Nintendo person for a long time, but every year that I've gone to New York, I've always wanted to have a portable gaming system. Yeah. And for the last couple of years, I've been buying like a PS Vita or something off Facebook.
I remember you were saying that you'd buy it up and then you'd sell it back.
I'd sell it like the week I got back. But this thing is amazing, man. And you know what? I didn't think it was going to be a thing when it first came out because they had that thing that was no mature games. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, that's bullshit. But then they came out with Doom, and now they've come out with more games. And I love Doom to death. And
how are you liking Breath of the Wild?
Breath of the Wild is fucking fantastic,
it's
man.
Gorgeous.
I mean,
absolutely
it
gorgeous.
is. You just get immersed in it, and I'm just like, oh, this is beautiful.
It's a real problematic game for me because I tend to be a completionist when I'm playing games.
Yeah,
I want to finish everything, and oh my goodness, there's so much.
So
to do
much,
in that game.
man. And it's peaceful. Like,
yeah.
It's so peaceful. I'm just like, this is just chilling me out. So,
like, I'm at a point in the game where there isn't an enemy that I have trouble fighting anymore. But it's just finding all of the Korok seeds and all the shrines.
We'll have to have a Switch episode and talk more about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
we'll do a Switch episode. You got to get Smash Bros though, so we can play Smash Bros.
Together. I know.
I need an online fighting partner.
Yes, we'll do.
But so this one was a little bit shorter than normal. We're looking at a good 40 minutes, though. That's still pretty good. Thank you, Nerf Herders, for tuning in. Once again, you can catch us on social media. We'll have our links up and all that. But I am at Jones on the Lens on pretty much all social media platforms. You can catch Nerf Herders Assemble on just about all social media platforms. And Josh, you're entrenched on pretty much all of them as well, aren't you?
Yep.
What's your handle there?
Oh, I don't know. Just search Fierce Literature. I'm out there.
Fierce Literature. Yeah. I remember yours is a little complicated, so I'll make sure that's posted in all of our descriptions and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't remember that shit. I'm just out there.
All right. Thanks, Nerf Herders. This was episode 10. It was kind of a quick recap. Catch up on our other episodes on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, coming soon to Google Play, maybe even Amazon. Who knows?
Yeah.
But you can also catch us on YouTube. We do trailer reactions, all of the sort, and we'll be doing some live broadcasts here at some point soon. I want to do some gaming again.
Yeah, that should be fun.
But yeah, tune in. Thanks for tune in next time, and thanks for stopping by, guys. Later.
See ya.